Hello, welcome back into the exhibition hall, and I'm standing here in the PCL TV studio with Travis Ludlow. Travis flew around the world as the youngest pilot to do so. The obvious question is, Travis, why?
Well, I really did it actually to inspire the young generation, and especially people who are interested in aviation. I think that showing to the younger generation that no matter what happens, no matter what gets in the way, no matter what anyone says, that as long as you keep pushing and following your goals, then you can achieve anything and you're unstoppable. So that's really why I did it.
How did you prepare for this flight? Because you didn't have a huge number of hours at the beginning.
No, I come from a non-aviation background, so no one in my family is a pilot, and but I've always loved aviation, and I got the idea when I was about 14 years old. Well, I had the idea before that, but it really started kicking off when I was about 14 years old, and I pretty much have been planning since then. For about 4 years of planning went into it, and I would look at previous Earth rounders. I'd contact them, talk about what happened, what advice they could give me, how much bribing money to bring, stuff like that. So lots of things to factor in, weather, fuel, and a good aircraft, what to use, stuff like that. So lots and lots of planning went into it, years and years, and I'm so glad I did it. I think the planning and preparation was actually harder than the flight itself, just because of how much I prepared for it, and so it really helped out for the trip.
And it was not an easy record to set, because before you, some other people had set some pretty tough records, hadn't they?
That's right. The record holder before me was an American called Mason Andrews, and he was 18 years and 163 days old. And I only beat the record by 13 days, landing when I was 18 years and 150 days old. So it was really challenging, really quite tight. It did mean I had to push sometimes. I still stayed safe, but I had to push a lot of the flight times on some of the trips. It was very close. And if it actually wasn't for coronavirus, my original plan was to fly around the world last year at the age of 17, and actually blow the record out the water. But unfortunately that didn't happen, but it really worked out more of a blessing as a curse. I got a lot more experience, got a much better aircraft, and helped out a lot for the trip.
I remember watching you on the tracker, and you did put in some really long days. How did you keep yourself awake?
I pretty much just focused on the aircraft. I had autopilot on, but I would sometimes, if I felt like I was getting tired, I'd manually fly the aircraft just to wake myself up. I'd listen to music on the flight, try to keep me awake, and just the concentration and the bit of being a bit terrified probably kept me awake as well. But most of my long flights are actually quite far north, near the Arctic Circle, and around those times it didn't actually get dark at all. So I remember flying from Anadir to Alaska, over the Bering Strait, and it's about 1 or 2 a.m. local time, and the sun's still right up in the sky. So kept me wide awake, and so I was pretty good for that.
Tell us about the aircraft you flew. I mean, it's a Cessna 172, not a particularly glamorous aircraft, but was it a good choice?
Yes, the Cessna 172 is probably the best decision I could have made. The most produced aircraft ever made, the Cessna 172. So you can get parts anywhere in Timbuktu. So really helped out having a Cessna 172. Luckily though, I didn't actually have any issues with the aircraft. No issues that Cessna parts that broke. So really reliable aircraft, safe, well tested. But as well as that, I had a different engine on it. So I had a Continental CD 155 diesel or Jet 8 engine. And with that, I'm burning about 15 litres an hour in max cruise. And I had about 180 litre fuel tanks, so I got plenty of range for the trip without any. I didn't need any external fuel tanks, or internal fuel tanks there. So really helped out a lot. And so great aircraft for the trip.
It's prepared for you by, is it a Belgian company that prepared it?
It was actually a Dutch company, Hangar One in the Netherlands. They helped out. They set it all up, and it's amazing how quickly they did it. I mean, they fully got it certified, FAA certified, all tested, got all of the avionics put in, all the stickers all over it, the logos, sponsors, and so amazing work from Hangar One, and I'm so grateful for the work they did. And thank you for the owner of the aircraft as well. I mean, if it was my aircraft, I'm not sure if I'd trust some spotty 18-year-old to fly their aircraft around the world. So really lucky.
That was a good bit of arms twisting. How on earth did you achieve that?
Yeah, well, it was quite a lot of writing emails around, just saying people it got to desperation really, saying, I need an aircraft here soon, otherwise I'm not going to be able to do this. And so, luckily someone, I think, maybe felt bad for me or whatever. So, huge amount of help from them. And so, I'm so thankful for it, and it pulled it off.
Were there any moments during the trip that you thought maybe I shouldn't have started this, or it's just not going well, or anything like that?
Yeah, well, there were a few times. One of the most scary moments was, and quite a stupid idea. I was flying from Las Vegas to Montana, and because they had issues with getting fuel in Las Vegas, and so I had to wait until about 6 p.m. local time before I could depart up to Montana. And bearing in mind the flight time was about 8 hours. And so I was flying, departed Montana about 6 p.m. I was about an hour away from my destination. It's about 1 a.m. at this point. Pitch black. I'm flying over the Rocky Mountains. I can't see the difference between the ground and the sky, full IMC. And I start to notice, I got the autopilot on, I start to notice the airspeed's beginning to drop. And as I turn off the autopilot, manually take control, go full throttle, and I'm still having to keep the nose up in order to maintain my altitude, and I lose speed. Eventually I have to pitch down, otherwise I'll stall, and I actually drop about 2,000 feet in about 30 seconds. And I drop about below the minimum safe altitude over the Rocky Mountains in the pitch black at night. And I just aviate, navigate, communicate. I turned around, flew in a complete opposite direction that I was flying, and then I told ATC what was going on. And they were super helpful. They got me around, and I worked it out. I was actually encountering a mountain wave, is what I encountered. So it was quite a scary moment. But yeah, it was definitely an eye opener, and definitely a time where I thought, oh, I shouldn't be here. And it was a stupid idea to fly over the Rocky Mountains at night.
I was going to say, I mean, planning that particular leg, could you have forecast a mountain wave?
I didn't actually, and there were no forecasts at all. It wasn't a windy day at all. It was very very calm, and yet I guess things just happen, that unexpected weather occurrences like that. And it wasn't the first time I had unexpected weather, but that was the first time that it really impacted me badly like that.
So did you plan it day by day as you did it, or did you have a sort of overall master plan?
It was mostly an overall master plan, but there are a few times where, especially in the United States, where it's super easy you can just change your destination as you want. There were a few times where I thought, I feel like going to this airport today, or I feel like seeing this. And so in the US, it was a lot more relaxed, but in pretty much all the other countries, it was pretty much set in stone. How it'd be, how the airports I'd fly to and the time and departure, especially Russia, they were you have to take off at this time and you have to land at this time, and otherwise you're in trouble. So it was that's how I did it. Yeah.
You mentioned the scary moments. What would be the highlight of the trip for you?
I think the highlight of the trip was actually, probably coming back into the UK. All the ATC were like, "Oh, well done for the trip. We've been following you," and they were all super supportive of me. So it was great to crossing over the Atlantic from the Netherlands and coming back to the UK. But there were other highs, just going through the US. Lots of people recognized me. Russia was some of the best places I went to. The people there were so nice, and once in a lifetime opportunity going and flying through there. And it was just a great place to visit.
It just shows the aviation world can bring things together, because the impression we have of Russia is not always the best one. So how long were you in Russia? Because it's such a big country.
Yeah, well, I actually crossed Russia in about 8 days. I flew pretty much directly across Russia, as quick as I could. But you're right, the aviation really brings people together, and the pilots there, everyone there was so friendly. I mean, even the non-pilots, I managed to find places to stay where they would help me out and give me a place to stay for the night, and people give me food, vodka. I wouldn't drink the vodka on the trip, but I got lots of vodka gifts, and so it was really really great to visit, and and then crossed it in about 8 days, which was pretty incredible.
We saw when you came back to Europe, but then you had to go down to Spain for a little while and back up. What was that about?
That's right. I was unsure about the record requirements, and so what I wanted to do was beat, either equal or beat Mason Andrew, the previous Earth Rounders record. And so I wanted to pretty much do all the things he did or better. And so he visited 5 continents, and so I wanted to visit 5 continents or better. So I went down to Africa, just touched Africa in order to do the same. Otherwise, I would have only been to 4 continents. So that's why I did it.
Would you do it again? I mean, around the world flight?
I would definitely do it. Maybe in a few years after a long break. I need to plan and prepare for another one. But I'm quite interested in electric aircraft, so maybe a future in first person to fly around the world in a fully electric aircraft would be something cool to do.
So what are you doing at the moment, and what are your plans for the future?
At the moment, me and my dad are trying to build an extension on our house. Just us two, watching YouTube videos of how to put a roof on and stuff like that. So just finished the roof with tiling. So, but in the future, I'm not really sure where I want to go from here. I'm speaking to various universities and flight schools. Things that I'm quite interested in, maybe being an instructor for a little bit, and see where I go from there. I'm definitely want a career in aviation, and I want to see where this takes me.
Well, you've come to the right place. You've come to the right place to find out about careers in aviation. So, Travis, thanks very much. That was a really super interview. And I hope you do get your round-the-world flight in an electric aircraft.
Thank you so much, and great to talk to you, great to be here, and I hope so too. Thank you.
Great, thanks very much.